Yo, so you need to figure out how to stop your conversations. Because I keep trying to take over and it's not working. Right, Satara? Yeah, so I'm recording this class again today because this is a really hard concept, so this recording might end up better than the other one. And also because I'm currently trying to help a high school math teacher who's trying to teach middle school math that is, like, it's tough when you teach stuff that's outside of what you've been teaching, especially if you've been at it for like a while. So hopefully some of what we do in class today will be beneficial for them. So your title today, 3, 2, 1, and you can really just call it subtraction if you want. But as we talked about, the word integers means entire values. So whether it's positive or negative, doesn't matter as long as there's no partial, it's an integer. So as long as there's no decimal, no fraction, it's a whole value, but not a whole number, because whole numbers are the positives. Right? How many whole pizzas can you have? I can have 0 whole pizzas. I can have 7 whole pizzas. Can't have -3 whole pizzas. -3 is an integer, not a whole number.
Is it a different story when you eat 3?
Yeah, but you eat 3 positive pizzas. To pay for it, you might go into debt, which could be a negative. All right, attention up here, please, because we're still trying to wrap up those side conversations. Thank you very much, guys. So, today, we're going to talk about some situations that can happen and some situations that, quote-unquote, can't happen, and we'll have to figure out how to make it work. So, we can really skip the first paragraph, but what we're talking about today is how can we remove negative tiles when the collection only has positives? How can we think about subtraction when there are not enough to take away? Which this is the problem, that they teach you subtraction as an idea of take away, which it's not that simple. And when does subtracting make the result larger, which also doesn't make sense, really, right? Because if I take something away, how does it get bigger? That's where takeaway is kind of a broken idea.
Wait, so like, would it make sense if like you have 2 negative numbers and you subtract, like I had -7 and -3 to make -10? Would that mean the negative number will?
Well, you just added those. Because we're talking about subtraction. You just added, right? -7, -3, you put them together to get your -10. So hang on, just like watch what we do and you'll get the idea, then ask me if you still have a question, okay? So on your paper, please draw this out. And you can draw it in kind of like a cluster like they have, or you can separate it if you're like me and you want your positives in one place and your negatives in another place. But we have 1, 2, 3, 4 plus tiles, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 negative tiles. So if we were to write this out as a mathematical expression, we just put the positives together and we put the negatives together, and we here have 4 and -6. Right? Our group involves 4 positives and 6 negatives. But then if we go to take away 3 positives, and depending on how well you focused on your homework and drawing out these situations, depends on how easy this will be to you, we can draw that pretty simply by grabbing 3 positives and drawing an arrow that just points away, right? It's going to leave our set, we're going to remove them, and then how we would write that in our expression, I don't know why it never takes my vertical line with it. It breaks up my plus and it makes me sad. But I lift my pen between a lot of those things and the rest of it groups together. How do we talk about removing 3 positives? Sorry?
You will have them fight the subtraction?
No, we're not really fighting anybody. We're going to take them away. Now they would, if I just left the set alone, they'd get in a fight, and like right now it looks like the negative's going to win, but we are impacting the situation. Right? We're going to take away 3 positives. Can I? Do I have 3 positives to take away? Yeah. So that's not that bad. And then we're asked to take away 3 negatives. Am I able to do that? Yeah, I've got 3 negatives to take away, so I could grab 3 negatives take those away. And whatever hasn't been removed from our situation is still there. Right? So what do we end up with? Oh, wait, how do I write what I just did in red? Landon? How do I write what I did in red here? We're going to take away 3 negatives. Go ahead.
Oh wait, hold on.
I thought you were looking at me and
I didn't think this through.
You didn't think this through?
Negative 3 in parentheses?
Yeah, but I need another symbol before the -3 in parentheses.
Oh. How do we show?
Ooh, we're not adding because we're not bringing them in. We're going to subtract the -3. I'm going to take away 3 of those negative tiles. And now we're left with 1, 2, 3 negatives, 1 positive. So what's my real result? -2, because we know that if we group a positive and a negative together, that's actually 0, right? So that makes 0, and my answer here is -2. So I'm going to write that, because I don't have space to the right, I'm just going to write it out here, but you guys could write it out to the right of here equals -2. So your team should have grabbed a bag of the integer tiles. We're going to use the, why are you over there? Okay. I know, but I don't know what, oh, this is not working right. Guys, I broke my smart ink, I think. Not yay. What, like, why is that a good thing? Alright, so flip your thought process now. If we have the pluses and the minuses given to us, the positives and the negatives, we need to write this out mathematically. So this is what we start with, and this is what happens. Right? So how do we write out what we started with? What do I have? And I should use random cards here. Simon, what do I have in the group that is like on the left here? Like, what do I have there? 8 positives, right? 8. So please write out 8. We're on, I forget what question number, 20. We're on 25A.
What was the question?
How do we write out what they're showing us? So we just took what they told us and like wrote it out numerically, right, with what we just did that wouldn't capture. So we're doing the same thing again, but now they kind of have 2 different groups, right? What we just looked at was like a cluster, like a pile of things. This is kind of separated. Now, okay, so that was 8, but Claire, what is that? 0. So right now I have 8 plus 0. Is the 0 worth writing? Not really, because it doesn't do anything. Right? 0 doesn't do anything. So I don't really need to write that I have 8 and 0. But then what happens here? And this is not a person. It says 3B math delta. Tie. What happens here? What is this trying to show us?
That is taking away the 2 negatives.
Taking away, perfect, thank you, sir. Taking away 2 negatives. Now, wait a minute. If I just start with 8, right, if I just start with 8, do I have negatives to take away? No. So the only way I'm able to do something like this is if I bring in some negative tiles. So that's why we talk about, or not talk about, that's why they placed this here. That's 0. It doesn't do anything except for it puts some negative tiles in the problem so I can take them away. What will this actually end up resulting in? When? Go ahead. 10. Sorry, Miles. I said Lana, but I don't know why, because my brain is, I don't know, broken today. Look, I know you guys are. My brain just doesn't always get it right.
Wait, what?
Look, look, I mean, it's right here, right? So I know this is confusing, and Sight is taking the risk to say, like, wait, confused, what? Like, that's all you really have to say is what with a question mark on it, and I will back up. We had 8, right? This, before we took away 2 negatives, this is 0, right? So it doesn't do anything. We just still have 8. But then if I take away these negatives, this isn't 0. This is positive 2 now.
No, sorry. I thought you kept the negatives there. I was so confused.
No, so we take them out, right? The arrow pointing away means take them out. So this is really the same as saying, and please write this on your paper because this is like the rule that most of you guys know. That's really like 8 plus 2. And the rule most of you have probably been told in 6th grade, or if you know it at all, the rule you probably got told was minus a negative is plus a positive. But why? Right? It's that nitty gritty, like, why do we do that? And that's what we're digging into today. So with your algebra tiles, if you want to, otherwise we can just draw this out in our notes. Pull out 8 negatives. Now instead of 8 positives like we did in A, we're going to do 8 negatives. I don't know if this will capture. So something is screwed up with my smartboard, Mr. Smith. It is not capturing like it is supposed to. I think I need to restart my computer.
Okay, we'll wait here.
No way. It takes like 8 minutes for my computer to restart. It takes way too long. All right, we'll just put that back to homework and just leave that there.
No, we can wait.
I know you could, and I know you would. So 8 negatives, right? Then in your notes, and actually let's go ahead and write out the problem. -8 minus -3. This is part B. So we should have drawn 8 negatives. If we read the minus as takeaway, which is one thing that we can call the minus, can we take away 3 negatives? Yeah, I have plenty of negatives, so I can come over here, grab 3 negatives, and draw my arrow away. So please do that. If you have them on your desk, you can just kind of push the 3 negatives off to the side out of the space where you're working. And what do we end up with? We end up with -5. Now, if we rewrite this.
Oh, it's a -8 minus -3.
Close. -8. If we rewrite it, we're going to have -8 plus 3. Now, I have a question. But this is not what this is doing, right? This says add some things in. So if I actually, this is not described by my green over here. This is described by my green over here. So I need to change this. Don't erase. How would I show plus 3? How would I show add 3 into my situation, Christian?
Add 3 positives.
Add 3 positives. Bring in 3 positives. So positive, positive, positive.
Yeah.
What happens when I have a positive-negative pair?
They fight 0. Cancel out each other.
0 and 0 and 0. So what do I end up with?
-5.
5 negatives. So the reason that minus a negative turns into, or can be turned into, plus a positive is it does the exact same thing to my situation. Questions on this? Christian?
Okay, can't you do just like the negatives and the positives that cancel out each other? Can't you do the negatives and the negatives that cancel out each other in the equation on the actual drawing?
So these are all negatives. Up here in the original equation, it says start with -8, take away 3 of your negatives. Right? That's what we start with. So we don't have any positives involved there. If I rewrite it and I say negative 8 plus 3, because we can apply our rule that we know, that then brings in the 3 positives. They fight, they make 0, and then they're gone. So all of those zeros, right, they leave because they don't matter. We don't really have to show that they're leaving, but they no longer matter to our situation. We made 0, made 0, made 0. Does that make sense? We're going to do a few more of these, and it will probably click as we do more of these. So think about C. Go ahead and read that, and you guys should have at least a book at your team. So I can put that away. That's not what you should be spending your time on. Pretty soon, and if you went and ate lunch outside, it was pretty cold out there today. Pretty soon it's going to be winter, and this situation is not that far off from reality in Ohio. Please read through this and write out a mathematical situation to show this. And then, this is harder, draw a picture to describe this. So don't talk right now at all. Try on your own. Just try on your own. Then we want to see if we get the same thing as our team. So try on your own first. So that didn't mean immediately talk with people. That meant read it and do it on your own first.
Lauren said it was easy.
She said the E word.
And so did Jesse. In my opinion, it's easy. Okay?
In my opinion, it's impossible.
C. C. Lauren. So Lauren. I have a friend that's named Lauren.
Oh, look, Simon got a name wrong. He's not. I'm not the only person that can get names wrong.
I didn't think.
All right, so it's 0 degrees outside, right? Not right now, thankfully, because we need to do our emergency drill. But it's 0 degrees outside, and the temperature goes down by 5. Now, we all know how thermometers work, and with the winters we've been having, hopefully you realize that temperatures can go into the negatives. So, Simon, what's your thought here?
Wait, this is something totally unrelated.
No. Nope. No. Sorry, bud. We got to stay on topic. We started class late. It's 0 degrees right now. Jesse?
So it's 0 degrees because it says, can I read the thing? Right
Yeah.
It's cold. The first time I looked up the thermometer today, it said it was 0 degrees Fahrenheit. Then it dropped to 5 degrees. How cold is it? So if it drops 5 degrees, the only thing it can go into is negative numbers. You can't just add positive numbers which are 0. Unless it says if the temperature went up 5 degrees. It dropped, meaning negative 5 degrees.
So dropped, like went down, right? Or like take away. And you said it has to go to negative 5. Now I agree. But when we go to do a picture of this, 0 minus 5, I can't do this. Here, sight. I got 0 pizzas. Take 5. How delicious is that pizza? I have 0, right? I have 0 Kit Kats. Take 5. I have 0 Take 5s. Take 5. Take 5 is the best candy bar for what it's worth. But I have 0, right? Here's my space. Here's my desk. Shh, hold on. I got 0, right? This is 0. This is my space. I have nothing. Do I still have 0? Yes. Because a positive and a negative cancel. Do I still have 0? Do I still have 0? Do I still have 0?
Yeah.
Do I still have 0?
Yeah.
This is 0. This is... so Desi's got this figured out. As many times as I want to do this, I can. Because every positive, negative pair cancels out. Now... and I don't need these. But now, can I take away 5 from this?
Yes.
0?
Yeah.
And we're left with, as Desi said, negative 5. So here's, dude, put your computer away. Here's where the idea of 0 is really complicated. 0 doesn't mean you have absolutely nothing there. 0 can mean all the positives have canceled out with all the negatives, right? Before I took away those 5 positives, everything canceled. It all just disappears, and it's nothing. So if we look at 26 for you guys to try these on your own, some of these situations, quote unquote, aren't possible. Like we try to build it with algebra tiles or integer tiles. So some of them are though. And in this discussion that I'm having with this other math teacher, some other people have weighed in, and sometimes takeaway completely makes sense. If I have a board that is 7 feet long, can I take away 5 feet from that board? Yes. So when I look at A, and please, guys, I have to keep telling my morning class, and I'm hoping that you guys are better than that. Please write the original out first. So we need to write 7 minus 5. We don't just write the answer. And for that, I can do takeaway. Right? That makes sense. So I can just say 2. But we could also, if we wanted to, rewrite that. Now, you don't have to do this. Sorry, not negative 2. 7 plus negative 5. If I have 7 positives and I bring in 5 negatives, these 5 negatives fight with the 5 of the positives. They make zeros, and we get left with 2 positives or 2 good guys that still remain, right? If we talk about this as good guys versus bad guys. So try B through F on your own. Tell you some of these situations, quote unquote, can't happen, but we're going to make them happen. So like B, right? I can't take 4 away from nothing. Well, yeah, I can. So try those out. I'll give you a couple minutes to do those. I got to check the schedule too. And then I'm going to just write these other problems up here.
What numbers do I mean, what letters to what letters?
B through F, just the rest of them.
Is B 4?
Negative.
How do you 4, Jesse?
Have an IQ.
What?
Negative 4.
This is much harder than it has to be.
Work them on your own first, then talk with your team to verify things. Oh, I'm doing random cards for these, by the way, to help me through. So if you don't know how to do this, chat with your team, figure it out. Negative 6 minus 2. So you are starting with 6 negatives, trying to take away 2 positives. I don't have 2 positives to take away. So we have to make it work somehow. No, it's just one big minus. So minus 2. So guys, Caroline was just asking, is this negative 6? Like, how does this read? C is negative 6. If you start with 6 negatives, and we're being asked to take away 2 positives. Right now, I don't have any positives. How could I bring in positives but not change anything? Miles?
Wait.
How do I put how can I put a plus up here but not actually change what I have?
Well, you can take 2 of the negatives, put 1 on top of the other, and that gives you a positive.
That's not how that works. That's like saying put a bad guy on the bad guy's shoulders and all of a sudden they're a good guy. No, they're a really tall bad guy.
Oh.
I've changed. Who can tell me what else I need to put on here so I don't change anything? Jose? Guys, this is just like our 0 problem. If I add a plus and a negative, that doesn't change anything.
Wait, but I thought you said you can't change anything. You
So,
just added a plus
is this still negative 6? Yes. Because this is 0 and this is 0, this is still negative 6. All of this together. Let's look at C really quick together. I want to give you time to work, but I think we're just kind of missing the connection here. So please make sure this is written on your paper, then draw 6 negatives. Don't use the tiles, like draw it on your paper. Draw 6 negatives. It depends what you mean by the same. But yeah, probably.
It's all going to be, that's still going to be negative 2.
Don't circle these, but this pair is a 0, and this pair is also a 0. You with me, Simon? Okay. So this is still, what's over here is still negative 6, because this is 0 and that's 0. Are we good with that? Like, what questions do we have there? Then we're being asked to remove 2 positives, right? Take away, if I say take away 2 positives. Now we can. And what are we left with? 8 negatives.
Wait, what?
Now, alternatively, and this is the way that I would always advise, but since the lesson is structured around subtraction, we needed to take it with subtraction. Alternatively, we could rewrite these things. We have said subtraction is a lie, right? Subtraction doesn't actually exist. Subtraction is just convoluted addition. So Lauren, how do I change this to addition?
It would be negative 6 plus negative 2.
I can't get rid of that. I need to keep it, but now I can use it as a negative. So if I have my 6 negatives, can I bring in 2 more negatives? I can always bring in whatever I want. Originally, we were trying to make negative 6 stay negative 6, but have some plus tiles involved, have some positives involved. So to do that, we had brought in 2 pluses, 2 positives, and 2 negatives, which really we brought in 0. Right? It's like, give me $1, I give it back to you. Give me $1, I give it back to you. Like, nothing had changed. But then we do what they're asking us to do. Okay, so we had been stuck on the left side of this. Then we did what they asked us to do. But now that we wrote this as plus negative 2, I can bring in 2 negatives. I can always bring in whatever I want. Now what do I have in my space?
Negative 8.
Still negative 8. So whether you can understand the subtraction or whether you need to change it to addition, that's up to your brain. Okay, so over here, I can think about this as takeaway, but it doesn't make sense. If I rewrite it as addition, like Lauren just told me to do, 0 plus, that now instead of being a minus, I'm going to use it as a negative. If I start with nothing, yay, look, I started with nothing. Can I bring in 4 negative tiles? Yeah, so if I bring in, what do I have? 4 negative tiles, because that's it. Alternatively, using the 0 method, if I want to start with 0, is this 0?
Yeah.
It's 0, right? As many positives as negatives. Can I take away 4 positives? Yeah. Because I have them, right? I have 4 positives here. If I grab these, tell them to get away. This is still 0. This is still 0. I'm just left with 4 negatives. There are 2 distinct ways to think about these problems. Questions?
Is this on our homework?
So if we go to D, if you don't have this written out, write it out, but then we're going to draw it. We start with 3 positives. I'm actually going to make my space. So there's my desk, or whatever I'm working with. I got 3 positives. Who's up next? Maria. What am I being asked to do here? My 3 positives, I'm then asked to... Yeah, this right here says take away 4 negatives. Okay, crap. I don't have any negatives. Is there a way that I can get negatives in there? I'm talking with Maria. You can always pass, but if you think you know, just give it a shot. Yeah. So if I put a plus and a minus, this is 0, still positive 3 here. Or I could say 4 minus 1, or 4 plus a negative 1. So I can do that as many times as I want. But I only need 4 negatives, so really it makes sense to do it 4 times. This is a really hard concept. So please, if something's not making sense, like, be empowered to ask it, because I'm telling you, this is a hard concept.
Okay, I'm confused about the thing where it's like you add and then get 8. The thing that we just did, C. Yeah, I agree with her. Because it's like just...
This one or over here?
Like, I know that you have to do it, I just don't know, like, when, like, how I know that I would have to do it. Like, what problems I have to do that.
So, really, this lesson is to help you conceptualize what we're doing. You could just memorize a rule, right? Like that's one option, but we really want to put focus on understanding what's happening. So this original problem asks us to start with -6 and take away a +2. I can't. Because if I just start with -6, I have no positives. Right? So conceptually, I can't do it. So what we did here with what's written here is we said, well, forget about the takeaway, right? Because subtraction's a lie. Let's make it addition, but addition of a negative. Because I can't just get rid of this symbol. It's got to stay there somehow. So I can always add whatever I want. Addition's easy. I can always do addition. Subtraction is where it gets tricky. So if we talk about this as the subtraction, and I drew this really big on the other screen, but that might have just confused people. We start with 6 negatives. Right? I cannot take away positives right now, but I need to, according to this problem. If I don't rewrite it, if I don't rewrite it to addition, I can put in zeros. As many zeros as I want, but each of those sets is a 0 really. Still good? Now, I say, well, can I take away negative, or can I take away +2 now? Yes, I have some positives to deal with, even though they're in 0 pairs. Doesn't matter, I can break them up. So I grab my 2 positives, tell them to get out of here, and what I'm left with is 8 negatives. That make more sense now? So, Kira, thank you very much for asking that. So here, that's the same thing that we're doing. My green pairs of a positive negative, those are all 0. I can now remove 4 negatives, right? So now remove 4 negatives. What are we left with? Ooh, careful. 7 positives, right? So this equals a +7. I could also just apply the rule, which is what they would have told you like back when Mr. Smith and I learned math, that minus a negative is plus a positive, and they would just do it like that. Because as we talked about last week, taking away a bad guy, or actually it was a couple weeks ago on the PBS math video, taking away bad guys does the same thing as adding good guys, right? Same impact. Take away the Joker and or bring in Batman, like if you say that they have equal power, the same thing. Take away bad, add some good. So here, if we start with, and this will be the last one because we got to wrap. We start with -8. I know, but that went really long. Can I take away 5 negatives?
Yes.
Yeah, we don't need to change this one at all. This one is ready to go right how it is. What are you left with?
-3.
Now, alternatively, let me show you this other way, then I'll get you out of here. Alternatively, if we quote-unquote apply the rule, -8 plus 5, add a positive, 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 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, and we're left with -3. Same thing. All right, so now you need to go use the restroom and put your things away. We're going to be coming back to foundations rooms.
Question?
So go use the restroom, do whatever you need to do, put your things away. Grab a jacket if you think you're going to be cold, and come back to foundations rooms.
Look at Belo's foundations here, right?
Yeah, like wherever you normally meet.